Hi there, come on in. Every summer at this time, our Michigan Outdoors crew takes a Saturday to fish for perch off South Haven aboard the Captain Nicols Party Boat. Now, every year is different, and this year we weren't finding large quantities of perch, but the perch we caught were usually big. And for the first time, one angler caught a steelhead while perch fishing. The whole story coming up. Then we'll review the investigative report we presented last winter on the DNR, which was precipitated by questions about deer management. Our questions have been causing quite a stir. All this and more, so stay tuned. I'm Fred Trost. It's Thursday night. Time for Michigan Outdoors.
Running nice, too. Lake Michigan perch. Coming back.
That's the third one in just 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, nice fish.
It was a hot Saturday afternoon when we boarded the Captain Nicols Party Boat at South Haven, a 70-foot fishing boat that easily handles 50 or 60 anglers. What made this year different was the weather, the hot weather, 80s and 90s. I asked cameraman John Ford to get a shot of some waves. Well, and there they were, waving away. You can tell by the way they were dressed that it was a hot day. The waves on Lake Michigan weren't too bad, though. In fact, it was nearly dead calm. On the boat's bridge, Donnie Nichols showed us the white marks on the LCR graph. That's a huge school of perch, so the anchor was dropped. Lots of line peeled off the deck. We were fishing deeper than we ever had before. I have a classic perch rig right here. This is a 1-ounce sinker at the bottom of, well, what's just called a perch rig. 2 dropper hooks, and I have a small minnow on each one. We're letting it down here. I guess it's about 50, 60 feet of water. Look at that line peel off. Now this I'm using is ultralight line, 4-pound test. I have here on the reel. This is an ultralight reel, an ultralight rod, and the reason I'm using this is because that's what the crew uses. They do, and they always seem to catch more fish than anybody. You let the sinker stay right on the bottom and put tension on the rod. You can see how I'm leaving tension on the rod. Now if I let it down a little bit, it hits the bottom there and it's slack. So I tighten up to where the sinker is still on the bottom, well, barely. It sort of bounces a little bit. But I try to keep it right at that level so I could feel a perch hitting. I don't know if that, basically what I'm gonna do is watch the crew and do exactly what they do.
Oh, boy, is that a nice one.
The first perch boated were a nice one, some real jumbos. But Captain Don Nichols said that this fishing was strange. Usually we'd be in 20 feet of water.
Are we fishing 70 feet down?
72 foot right here.
Because I knew we were peeling out a lot of line, but I didn't know it was that much. Well, we've never, in the almost 10 years we've fished with you guys, we've never fished in 70 feet of water.
Normally this time of year we should be in about 35, 40 foot, and that's in the cooler water's usually in there, but it's just been a weird year.
So we have all these, westerly winds blowing the warm surface water in? And
Oh, the southwest and the hot temperatures. We haven't had any, not a lot of rain and not a lot of cool weather. It's just a real hot lake.
But the fish that we brought in today, I mean, they're not dinky ones at all. I mean, these are jumbo. Some of them are the size of walleye.
There's some nice sized fish. It was the same thing this morning. Been real nice sized fish, just not a lot of them.
Are people happier if they catch 10 or 15 or 20 small ones or a couple big ones?
Oh, I think they're happy with the nice ones. A lot of people don't get fish that size where they live or anything, so when they come out here and get a couple jumbos, they're real happy with them.
This young lady right here who caught that double is Lois Buren. If you call the Outdoors Club this summer, it's likely that she'll be the one who answers. She's quite an angler, too, and so is Harold. Harold Schofield from Mason surprised everyone with his catch, about a 10-pound steelhead.
How's it feel?
Not a big one, but
A lot bigger than the perch.
well, I haven't got a perch yet.
Oh, you haven't? Well, you're going to be all set with
It's
this.
gotta be bigger, Fred.
Very gentle. You're really fighting that well. You must have caught a few steelhead before.
Not on this tackle.
Nice job, bro.
Yeah, it's your eyes. Here we go. And we got him aboard. How about that? Whoa!
Captain Donnie Nichols takes Harold Steelhead out of the net. Now, this is an unusual catch for a perch party boat. They never used to catch anything but perch on these little hooks fished right on the bottom with a minnow. But since the planting of the Skamania strain of steelhead, the ones that make a summer spawning run, a half dozen lucky anglers on the Captain Nichols have caught steelhead so far this year. In fact, one was caught on Donnie's boat on the morning run. So this makes 2 steelhead on this boat, caught by perch fishermen today. Harold didn't think that 10-pounder would fit into his perch bucket, so Donnie Nichols iced it down in the cooler. And I asked Donnie if steelhead were showing up on the graph.
Do you ever see any Skamania or
We
salmon
marked
or
some, the first stop we stopped today, we quite a few big fish down there. I thought we'd get one there, but I didn't see any when we sat down here, but apparently there's a couple down there.
anything? Here we have it. Yes, here we go.
There you are.
Look at that. Boy, that's a kind of a dark
15
one.
feet below the surface.
No kidding?
Yeah, you can see them down there.
Oh, so you changed your tactic when you saw him down there, huh?
Yeah. Came up a little bit. That's where they're at.
Okay, I've got the technique now. I'm going to join you. I'm going to join you at 15 feet.
Seems to be working for you.
Yeah. Yeah, they're running nice too. Lake Michigan perch. Coming back.
That's the third one in just 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, nice fish. Nice.
Kathy got one down. How far were you down?
15 feet, just like you
15
said.
feet down.
Just like you said. It's working.
What we're experiencing here is a quirk of water and wind, causing a thermocline, which is a band of water that's a different temperature, one that perch evidently prefer, which has pulled them off the bottom to suspend in a higher, more comfortable strata of water. You don't see this very often.
Come on, Thomas, you're getting behind.
I know. I'm gonna get out of the way. I'm gonna move over.
Oh, hey, use that one for bait. That's a nice one, Garrett.
The man who made this accidental discovery of the suspended perch was Ron Gardner from Walker. He saw those suspended perch almost out of sight 15 feet down. Started a real bonanza.
This is incredible. Look at everybody's hooking up now. We're fishing at 15 feet. So we've been sitting here for a couple hours fishing on the bottom, and the fish are right under the boat.
Yeah,
we wouldn't have known it unless they followed them up there.
that one up.
Yeah.
When perch fishing is really hot, you can hook 2 at once easily. But it wasn't red hot today, but several double headers were caught, and they were dandy perch.
Grant's not hooked good.
Back, finger right on.
Look at that.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
In just a second, I want you to meet Trisha Howland. She's our administrative assistant at the Outdoors Club. She handles membership records, and today she just started handling fish.
That's good. How many times have you been fishing?
This is my first fishing trip.
And your first fish?
My first fish. Yuck.
Oh, what do you mean yuck?
Yuck.
New experiences for many of the anglers who joined us 2 weeks ago off South Haven. For $25, you can use the boat, then leave it behind. The crew will scale and fillet your perch for 10 cents each. That's another bargain if you've prepared many perch. And Harold Schofield got a real thrill catching a jumping steelhead on his perch fishing rig. This is our 8th summer in a row on the Captain Nichols, and despite my luck, I wouldn't miss it for anything. Maybe you noticed that I wasn't seen on that report catching any perch. Well, I don't always have the greatest luck going. I mean, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Last year, I think I caught 2 perch. This year, I caught 1. But it was a pretty good sized one. Next year, I'll try to break the jinx. In 10 years doing this show, I've never personally asked sportsmen to write letters to your legislators because, frankly, I haven't had all that much faith that a lot of these letters do all that much good. But this one will, especially if a lot of you write. If you have an opinion, pick up a pen and voice that opinion. Now is the time. Our current Outdoor Digest magazine has an article in it on getting our money's worth from deer license fees. This is the focus of our investigations right now, as we started last January with our investigative reports on where's our money going with the DNR. So, what have we found out over the past few months? Well, right now we are in the process of gathering just some final interviews to put together for a series of investigative reports. As far as the split on the DNR goes and us getting more attention from the DNR, that apparently has flopped. A lot of letters were written by sportsmen to legislators and to the governor, and the governor promised in his campaign that he was going to split the DNR, but apparently this was talk. Now, in a week or so, we're supposed to have an interview with the governor, and maybe we'll find out what the deal is. But up to this point, nothing has really happened. The environmental movement has backed down the DNR split, so it looks like that has gone nowhere. So what are we going to do? Well, in our magazine, in the Outdoor Digest, and on this show, we'll be presenting a series of investigative reports on the problems we find with DNR deer herd management, or the spending of sportsmen's money. That, I think, is the best function we can provide as a television show and an outdoors club to kind of watchdog what's going on and report it to you. Now, we have a great recipe coming up with Kathy Beitler.
A lot of people would call this poor man lobster because it's going to be used with monkfish, but Carol Felstol calls it down and out lobster. And it's actually not even a lobster. It's adapted from a lobster recipe. And we used monkfish because we couldn't get sheepshead that she used for this recipe.
Well, right now, Bill Dossier from down in Trenton says they're catching all kinds of them in the Detroit River, sheepshead.
Yep, and it'd be a good weekend to go down and get them. And you're going to just brush a pan with melted butter because this whole recipe goes right under the broiler, just like any lobster recipe usually does.
You know, people are going to wonder why monkfish,
Right.
or why sheepshead. It has a gnarly texture when it's cooked.
That
and it,
same firm texture.
yeah, it gets all knotted up like
Yep.
lobster, and it doesn't have much flavor, frankly. That lemon juice right there you're putting on,
Yes.
and that butter. Oh, man.
Well, really add to this.
I really
And then
do.
just going to put on a little bit of dill weed, and that's all that goes on this recipe.
Just slide it right into the broiler.
Yep,
huh?
and that's it.
And you don't have to broil it for very long.
No, you don't. About 6 to 8 minutes, and that's just about it.
And it tastes like lobster, or you
Yes.
can put it with cocktail sauce. Of course, I know for Charlie Keenan, you thought you'd try out some noodles.
Chase the noodles around my plate and get a little piece of fish.
Very
Oh.
good prepared this way.
This, I would say, that this tastes more like lobster right now than any monkfish or sheepshead I've had before.
Well, I don't know if it tastes so much like lobster, but it doesn't have a strong fishy taste. It tastes very good.
You don't
Got
eat much lobster,
You know.
huh?
Pardon?
It does. It tastes like lobster.
I think it tastes better than some of the lobster I've had.
It's not as gnarly and firm.
Right.
And sheepshead, as I recall, when I've had it, it's been a little more firm than this. But,
Yep.
oh boy, monkfish sales ought to go up this week.
Yes.
Because this is a terrific way to cook it. How about those noodles, Charlie?
Well, I like the noodles. How do you noodles if you put it in anything?
Seems like everybody who sits in that chair says that.
Yes.
Oh, Bob Griner would kill for those noodles. But this monkfish, this
No.
is great.
Extremely well done. With the broiling on top, making it a little crispy.
Be great on the grill that way too.
Oh.
Well, we're going to have to try this next spring with sheepshead. Sheepshead are also known as freshwater drum. They're perfect prepared in this way. Now, most people toss them back because they're not that great fried. But this recipe, along with all of the rest. Well, this wraps up our first show of the month here on Michigan Outdoors. We do have a new format for the show that we're going to be following, a new layout of features, and virtually every article in the new Outdoor Digest magazine you will see on TV during the next 2 months. We have some exciting things coming up, so I hope you watch even though it's hot. And of course, it's a great time to get outdoors, the summertime. I hope you can this weekend. It's a great place to be. See you next week. Next week on Michigan Outdoors, we're going to take you fishing for smallmouth bass, for walleye on a river in Manitoba, the Winnipeg River. We fished and caught some great fish last Saturday afternoon. We'll bring you along. We'll also have some updates on DNR management, great recipe, and a lot more. So join me next week right here on Public TV.
How many times have you been fishing?
This is my first fishing trip.
And your first fish?
My first fish. Yuck.
Oh, what do you mean yuck?
Yuck.